Have you ever seen someone so obsessed with their own image that they'd destroy thousands of dollars of property just to avoid looking bad? Well, that's exactly what happened when Karen caught a glimpse of herself on our store's security camera. And trust me, it was a sight to behold. I'm Jack, the manager of Tech Trend Innovations, a bustling electronics store tucked into a sprawling shopping mall in suburban Ohio. At 48, I've been in retail long enough to see every kind of customer meltdown. From the guy who tried to return a decade-old flip phone to the lady who insisted we fix her coffee maker. We don't sell coffee makers. But nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared me for the chaos that walked through our doors one Saturday afternoon. It was one of those days where the store hummed with activity. The air smelled faintly of new plastic and ozone, the kind of scent you only get in a place packed with gadgets. Customers milled about, poking at tablets, marveling at 4K TVs, and asking my team questions like, "Does this smart fridge come with a built-in Netflix?" The store was alive with the low buzz of conversation, punctuated by the occasional beep of a scanner at the checkout. We'd recently upgraded our security system, a decision born out of a few too many shoplifting incidents involving wireless earbuds. Part of the upgrade included a live feed from our cameras displayed on one of the big screen TVs in the home theater section. It was a 65-inch LED beauty, cycling through crisp images of the store's aisles to remind folks we were watching. The idea was simple: show potential thieves they're on candid camera, and they'll think twice. Most customers didn't even notice it, too busy drooling over surround sound systems or debating whether to splurge on a gaming console. But it was there, quietly doing its job. That's when she walked in. Karen. You know the type before she even opens her mouth. Sharp blonde bob, purse slung over one shoulder like it's a weapon, and an expression that says she's already annoyed with you for existing. She was maybe mid-50s, dressed in a bright red blazer that screamed, "I'm important." And she moved through the store like she owned it. I was near the checkout, helping a customer with a warranty question, when I heard her voice cut through the ambient noise. "It's freezing in here," she snapped, not to anyone in particular, just loud enough for half the store to hear. What kind of place keeps the AC on Arctic mode in September? I glanced over, clocking her as a potential headache, but hoping she'd just browse and leave. My team was swamped. Tom, our youngest sales associate, was explaining Bluetooth speakers to a dad, while Sarah juggled two customers at the laptop counter. I figured I'd keep an eye on Karen, but stay out of her way unless she escalated. She didn't waste time. Within minutes, she was at the tablet display, jabbing at a demo model like it had personally offended her. "This thing is so slow," she muttered, loud enough for nearby customers to glance over. Then she pivoted to the audio section, where she declared our background music, some inoffensive pop playlist, absolutely unbearable. A guy testing headphones nearby smirked, and I caught his eye, sharing a silent, "Here we go" moment. I went back to my paperwork, thinking Karen was just another loud complainer who'd eventually buy something or storm out. That's when I noticed her heading toward the home theater section, where our Pride and Joy TVs lined the wall like a glowing shrine to technology. The security feed was playing on that 65-inch screen, showing a crystal-clear view of the store's main floor. Right now, it was focused on the aisle Karen was about to enter. She stopped, her purse swinging as she turned to inspect the TVs. Her eyes scanned the screens, first the one playing a nature documentary, then the one looping a sci-fi movie trailer. Then she hit the security feed, her head tilted, like a dog hearing a strange noise. She stepped closer, squinting at the screen. I couldn't see her expression from where I was, but her body language shifted. Shoulders stiffening, purse clutched a little tighter. I had no idea what was coming, but something told me this wasn't going to end quietly. Have you ever witnessed someone completely lose it over something trivial? Share your wildest customer meltdown stories in the comments below. Little did I know, This was the calm before the storm. The home theater section of Tech Trend Innovations was usually a haven of oohs and ahs, with customers gawking at crystal clear screens and booming soundbars. But as Karen stood frozen in front of that 65-inch TV displaying the security feed, the air felt charged, like the moment before a lightning strike. I was still near the checkout, wrapping up with a customer, but my retail, honed sixth sense pinged. Trouble was brewing, and Karen was the epicenter. From where I stood, I could see her squinting at the screen, her red blazer practically glowing under the store's fluorescent lights. The security feed was doing its thing, cycling through camera angles. Right now, it showed a wide shot of the TV ISIL, Karen included. Maybe she caught herself mid-frown, or maybe she was fussing with her hair, thinking no one was watching. Whatever it was, she didn't like it. Her head snapped around, scanning for someone to blame, and that's when she locked onto Tom. Poor Tom. He's 19, earnest as they come, and still learning that some customers are less interested in answers than in someone to yell at. He was restocking cables a few feet away when Karen's voice sliced through the store's hum. "Excuse me, young man," she barked, her tone sharp enough to make nearby customers flinch. Tom, bless him, put on his best customer service smile and hustled over. "Yes, Mom. How can I help you?" he asked, all politeness and no clue he was stepping into a minefield. Karen pointed a manicured finger at the TV. "Why is my face on that screen? Are you people spying on me?" Tom blinked, clearly caught off guard. "Oh no, Mom, that's just our security camera feed. It's on display to keep the store safe. It's not recording you or anything. It's just live right here in the store." I could have told him that explanation wouldn't land. Karen's face twisted, like she'd just bitten into a lemon. "Not recording? Then why is it up there for everyone to see?" "This is an invasion of my privacy!" Her voice climbed an octave, drawing curious glances from shoppers nearby. A guy testing a soundbar lowered the volume to eavesdrop, and a mom with a stroller slowed her pace, sensing drama. Tom, still trying to salvage the situation, gestured toward the screen. "It's just for security, ma'am. All the customers can see it. It's not targeted at anyone. It's to deter shoplifting." Big mistake. Karen's eyes widened, her purse swinging as she leaned in. "Are you accusing me of stealing? Is that what this is? You're putting me on display like some criminal." Her voice was loud enough now that even Sarah, over at the laptop counter, shot me a help look. I sighed, handed my clipboard to a cashier, and started weaving through the aisles toward the chaos. Tom was floundering, his face turning pink as he stammered, No, that's not what I meant. It's just store policy." "Policy?" Karen cut him off, her hands planted on her hips. "I don't care about your policy. I want that screen turned off right now, or I'm calling corporate. Or the police. This is illegal, you know, showing my image without my consent." By the time I reached them, a small crowd had formed, some shoppers pretending to browse while others openly stared. Karen was in full performance mode, gesturing at the TV like it was a personal affront. The screen, oblivious, kept showing her in real time, her angry pointing now broadcast for all to see, which only seemed to fuel her rage. "Ma'am," I said, stepping in with my calmest manager voice. "I'm Jack, the store manager. Is there something I can help you with?" Karen wheeled on me, barely pausing to breathe. "You're the manager. Good. Then you can explain why your store is spying on me and humiliating me in front of everyone." She jabbed a finger toward the TV, where her image glared back mid-rant. A teenager nearby snickered, phone already out, probably recording for his TikTok. I kept my expression neutral, years of retail battles keeping my temper in check. "I'm happy to explain, ma'am. That's just our security feed, displayed in store for safety. It's not about you specifically, it's just how we monitor the floor," and wasn't having it. "Don't give me that!" "You're showing my face to the whole store. I demand you turn it off right now, or I want to speak to the real manager." Her voice hit a pitch that made Tom wince, and I realized she hadn't clocked that I was the top dog here. The crowd was growing, phones gleaming as people captured the meltdown. Karen's eyes darted to the screen again, her reflection now showing her flushed cheeks and wild gestures. She froze for a split second, then turned back to me, her voice a low hiss. "You're going to regret this." I had a feeling she wasn't wrong, but not for the reasons she thought. Things were about to get even more ridiculous. The home theater section of Tech Trend Innovations had turned into a makeshift stage, and Karen was the star of her own unhinged production. Her red blazer seemed to pulse under the store's harsh lights as she stood, hands on hips, glaring at me like I'd personally engineered the security feed to ruin her day. The 65-inch TV behind her kept broadcasting her every move, her scowl, her wild gestures, the way her bob haircut bounced with each indignant head shake. A small crowd of shoppers had gathered, some clutching their phones to record the spectacle, others whispering to each other with barely concealed grins. Tom, my poor sales associate, hovered nearby, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. "I'm Jack, the store manager," I repeated, keeping my voice steady despite the urge to laugh at her. "Real manager, Jab. I understand you're upset, ma'am, but let me explain. The security feed is standard for retail stores like ours. It's only visible here in the store, not recorded or shared anywhere. It's just a deterrent for shoplifting." Karen's eyes narrowed to slits, her lips pursing like she'd sucked on a sour candy. "Don't you dare lecture me about standard anything," she snapped, her voice carrying across the aisle. "You're violating my privacy, and I know my rights. Showing my image without my consent is illegal, and I'm not leaving until you turn that thing off." She jabbed a finger at the TV, where her furious pointing played out in real time, like a bizarre mirror of rage. I took a deep breath, channeling every ounce of retail zen I'd honed over the years. "Ma'am, I assure you, this is completely legal and part of our store policy. The cameras are here to keep everyone safe, including you. If you'd like, I can show you the signage we have posted about our security system." "Signage," she scoffed, loud enough to make a nearby kid drop his demo game controller. "You think a sign makes this okay? You're targeting me. You're humiliating me in front of all these people." She swept an arm toward the crowd, which now included a guy in a flannel shirt filming with his phone, a smirk plastered on his face. Karen noticed him and spun back to me. "See, they're recording me now because of you. This is harassment." The irony was thicker than the manual for a smart TV. She was railing about privacy while her meltdown was being live-streamed to who knows where, but I wasn't about to point that out. Instead, I kept my tone even. "Mom, those are other customers, not store staff. I can't control what they do with their phones. If you're uncomfortable, I'm happy to discuss this privately in my office." "Privately?" she shrieked, and I swear the sound made Tom flinch. "So you can cover up this scam?" "No way!" "I'm staying right here until you shut that screen off." She crossed her arms, planting herself in front of the TV like a protester at a rally. The feed caught her defiant stance, broadcasting it to the growing audience, which now included a mall security guard who'd wandered over, probably drawn by the noise. Karen wasn't done. She turned to the crowd, her voice taking on a theatrical wobble, like she was auditioning for a daytime drama. "Can you believe this? These people are spying on me, putting my face up for everyone to laugh at. This store doesn't care about its customers." A few shoppers exchanged glances, but no one took her bait. The guy in flannel muttered something to his buddy, and they both chuckled, their phones still rolling. Then Karen did something I hadn't expected. She spotted one of the security cameras mounted on a nearby pillar and marched toward it, her heels clicking furiously. "Fine. If you won't turn it off, I'll fix this myself." She reached up, standing on her tiptoes, and tried to cover the camera lens with her hand. The crowd gasped, a mix of amusement and disbelief. Of course it didn't work. The feed was coming from multiple cameras, and the TV kept showing her flailing arm, now alongside her red-faced glare. "Mom, please don't touch the equipment," I said, stepping forward. "That's store property, and we need those cameras operational." She whirled on me, her hand still hovering near the camera. "Don't tell me what to do. You're the one breaking the law." Her voice hit a new pitch, and I caught Sarah, over at the laptop counter, mouthing, "Wow," to another employee. The mall security guard, a burly guy named Mike, started edging closer, his radio crackling. Karen's eyes darted back to the TV, where her failed camera blocking stunt was now playing out for all to see. Her face flushed an even deeper shade of red, and for a moment I thought she might actually scream. Instead, she stomped back to the TV, her purse swinging like a wrecking ball. "This is outrageous," she bellowed, gesturing at the screen. "I'm going to sue this place into the ground." The crowd was eating it up, their phones capturing every second of her unraveling. I could already imagine this hitting the entitled people subreddit by dinner time. But as Karen's rant grew louder, I knew we were teetering on the edge of something uglier. Her hands were shaking, her eyes locked on that TV like it was her mortal enemy. I had a sinking feeling this wasn't going to end with her storming out. And I was right. And then, she snapped. The home theater section of Tech Trend Innovations had become a circus, with Karen as the ringmaster of her own self-inflicted chaos. The 65-inch TV displaying the security feed loomed behind her, broadcasting her every furious gesture to a crowd of shoppers who'd abandoned their browsing to watch the show. Her red blazer was a beacon of rage, her bob haircut bouncing as she ranted about privacy and lawsuits. I stood a few feet away, trying to keep the situation from spiraling further, while Tom, my shell-shocked sales associate, lingered behind a display, probably regretting every life choice that led him to this moment. The mall security guard, Mike, was hovering nearby, his radio crackling with updates from his team. Karen's latest attempt to block the security camera had failed spectacularly, her hand-waving antics only adding to the footage now playing on the TV. The crowd, phones out, smirks on, was loving it. A teenager in a hoodie whispered to his friend, "This is going viral, bro," while the guy in flannel from earlier zoomed in with his camera, narrating quietly like he was filming a nature documentary. Karen, oblivious to the irony of her privacy complaints being live-streamed, was reaching a boiling point. Her face was a shade of red that reveled her blazer, and her eyes were locked on the TV like it was taunting her personally. "You think this is funny?" she shrieked, spinning to face me, her voice slicing through the store's hum. "You're all laughing at me, aren't you? This store is a disgrace!" She gestured wildly at the TV, where her image mirrored her meltdown in crisp 4K. I opened my mouth to respond, but she didn't give me a chance. "I'm done with this nonsense!" "You're going to turn that thing off, or I'll make you." Before I could react, Karen's eyes darted to a nearby display table, where a row of remote controls sat neatly aligned for customers to test. Her hand shot out, snatching one like she was drawing a weapon. For a split second, I thought she might just point it at the TV and try to change the channel. A futile but harmless move. But Karen had other plans. With a yell that could have shattered glass on its own, she hurled the remote at the TV. The crowd gasped as the projectile sailed through the air, smacking the screen dead center. A sickening crack echoed through the store, followed by a shower of glass and plastic as the 65-inch LED shattered. The display flickered, then went black, leaving only a jagged hole where Karen's image had been. Shards littered the floor, glinting under the fluorescent lights. The store fell silent, like someone had hit mute on the world. Tom's jaw dropped, his eyes wide as saucers. The crowd stood frozen, phones still raised, capturing the wreckage. Even Mike, the security guard, paused mid-step, his hand on his radio. Karen, however, looked smug, her arms crossed as if she'd just won a debate. "There," she declared, her voice dripping with triumph. "Now you can't spy on me anymore. I blinked, my brain struggling to process the sheer audacity. A Furzer's 200 TV, reduced to rubble because Karen couldn't handle seeing herself on camera. Years of retail had taught me to stay calm, but I'll admit my pulse was racing. I took a slow breath, then said, "Mom, that was store property. You've just committed vandalism." Karen laughed, a sharp, dismissive bark. "Vandalism? You deserved it. You humiliated me, and I'm not letting you get away with it." She turned to the crowd, clearly expecting support. "See, this is what happens when stores don't respect their customers. Who's with me?" Crickets. The shoppers stared back, some shaking their heads, others still filming. The teenager in the hoodie muttered, "Lady, you're wild," while the flannel guy snorted, his phone catching every second of her delusion. Karen's smugness faltered, her eyes darting as she realized no one was rallying to her cause. I was already moving, pulling out my phone to call mall security's direct line and the police. "Mike," I said to the guard, who was now inching closer, "can you secure the area until the officers get here?" He nodded, his face a mix of disbelief and amusement. Karen scoffed, undeterred. "The police? For what? I'm the victim here, you're the ones breaking the law." She jabbed a finger at me, then at the broken TV, as if the pile of glass somehow proved her point. The crowd was buzzing now, whispers and chuckles rippling through as more phones came out. I caught Sarah, over at the laptop counter, mouthing, "Unbelievable," to another employee. I kept my voice level. "Mom, destroying store property is a crime. The police will handle this when they arrive." I stepped back, signaling Tom to start clearing curious shoppers from the area. Karen, still defiant, planted herself near the wreckage, muttering about lawsuits and corporate accountability. Within minutes, the faint wail of sirens cut through the mall's ambient noise. Karen's head snapped toward the sound, her confidence wavering for the first time. The crowd parted as two police officers entered, their boots clicking on the tile. I glanced at the shattered TV, then at Karen, who was still clutching her purse like a shield. This was about to get interesting. But the story doesn't end there. The home theater section of Tech Trend Innovations looked like a crime scene, with shards of the shattered 65-inch TV glinting on the floor and a crowd of shoppers still buzzing from Karen's epic meltdown. Her red blazer stood out like a warning flare as she faced the wreckage, arms crossed, chin jutted defiantly. The sirens I'd heard moments ago were now silent, replaced by the steady click of police boots as two officers, a tall woman with a no-nonsense ponytail and a stocky guy with a clipboard, entered the store. Mike, the mall security guard, was already briefing them, gesturing toward the pile of glass and plastic that used to be a There's 200 lighty screen. Karen, oblivious to the gravity of her situation, started talking before the officers even reached her. "Finally, someone with authority," she declared, her voice carrying that same entitled edge. "These people have been harassing me, spying on me with their cameras, and humiliating me in front of everyone. I demand you do something about it." The female officer, whose name tag read Sjeet Carter, raised an eyebrow but said nothing, letting Karen ramble while her partner surveyed the damage. I stepped forward, keeping my tone professional. "I'm Jack, the store manager. This customer destroyed one of our display TVs after an argument about our security camera feed. We have footage of the incident, and several customers recorded it as well." Karen's head whipped toward me. "Footage? You're admitting you're spying on me?" "That's exactly what I'm talking about." She turned to Sjeet Carter, her hands flailing. "They put my face on that screen without my permission. I was provoked. They owe me for emotional distress." The officers exchanged a glance, the kind that said they'd seen this song and dance before. "Ma'am," Sjeet Carter said, her voice calm but firm. "Let's start with the property damage. Throwing an object at a store's equipment is vandalism, which is a crime. We'll need to see the evidence and take statements." I led the officers to our security office, a cramped room behind the checkout counter. where I pulled up the actual security footage, not the smashed display feed, but the high-res recording from our main system. The video was crystal clear: Karen ranting, trying to block the camera, snatching the remote, and hurling it at the TV with a banshee-like yell. The crowd's gasps and the crack of the screen were audible, sealing her fate. I also pointed out the customer videos now circulating. Several shoppers had already uploaded clips to their phones, and the guy in flannel was still filming, probably live streaming to his followers. Karen, who'd followed us to the office doorway, went pale as the footage played.
"That's not fair,"
she sputtered.
"You're twisting this. I was defending myself. They were mocking me."
She gestured wildly at the monitor, as if the video might magically rewrite itself. "Sjeet." Carter wasn't buying it. "Mom, the evidence shows you intentionally destroyed store property. That's not self-defense. That's a misdemeanor at minimum." Her partner, Officer Reyes, was already jotting down notes, his clipboard filling up fast. The crowd outside the office was still milling about, some whispering, others openly laughing. The teenager in the hoodie called out, "Yo, she's going down," earning a glare from Karen but chuckles from his friends. I caught Tom, my sales associate, quietly sweeping glass from the floor, his face a mix of shock and relief that the police were handling things. "Est." Carter turned to Karen. "You're coming with us to the station to sort this out. You can explain your side there, but right now, you're under arrest for destruction of property." She pulled out a pair of handcuffs, and Karen's smug facade crumbled. "Arrest? You can't be serious! I'm the victim here." Her voice cracked as the cuffs clicked around her wrists, and she kept yelling as the officers led her through the store. "I'll sue you all." "You'll hear from my lawyer." The crowd parted, some shoppers clapping quietly, others shaking their heads in disbelief. As Karen was escorted out, still ranting about her rights, I heard a woman mutter, "What a train wreck." The flannel guy gave me a nod, his phone finally lowered, and said, "That's going on Reddit tonight, man." With the chaos subsiding, I addressed the crowd. "Folks, I'm sorry you had to see that. As a thank you for your patience, we're offering a 10% discount on any purchase today." A few cheers went up and shoppers started drifting back to their browsing, the buzz of normalcy returning. Tom, still clutching his broom, shot me a grin. "Boss, that was insane." Later that evening, after the police had taken statements and the broken TV was cordoned off, I checked my phone. Sure enough, the flannel guy was true to his word. A video titled, "Karen Smashes TV Over Security Camera Meltdown," was already trending on the Entitled People subreddit, racking up thousands of upvotes. The comments were gold. Peak Karen energy. She really thought she'd win this one. And my personal favorite, "That TV deserved better." As I locked up the store, I couldn't help but smile. Karen's tantrum had backfired spectacularly, and her viral humiliation was just the cherry on top. Retail's a tough gig, but moments like this, they make it almost worth it. The shattered remnants of the 65-inch TV were gone, hauled away by a cleanup crew, and Tech Trend Innovations was back to its usual hum of gadget, hungry shoppers and beeping scanners. The chaos of Karen's meltdown felt like a fever dream, but the viral Reddit post and the lingering grins on my team's faces were proof it had happened. As I stood behind the checkout counter, sipping lukewarm coffee, I couldn't help but reflect on the wild ride that had unfolded in our suburban Ohio electronics store. I'm Jack, the manager who's seen it all, or so I thought until Karen decided to make our security feed her personal nemesis. That Saturday had been a masterclass in entitlement, a reminder that some folks will burn the world down before admitting they're wrong. But it was also a lesson in keeping cool under pressure. I'd stayed calm, followed protocol, and let the system, cameras, police, and a crowd full of smartphones do the rest. By Monday, the store was running smoothly again, and the incident was already becoming legend among my team. Tom, my young sales associate, was restocking cables when he settled up to me, a mischievous glint in his eye. "Hey, Jack, think we should put up a sign. Smile, you're on camera, and don't throw remotes." I chuckled, picturing Karen's face if she'd seen that. Tempting, but let's not poke the bear. Besides, that Reddit video's doing all the advertising we need. He wasn't wrong. The post on the entitled People subreddit, titled, "Karen Smashes TV Over Security Camera Meltdown," had exploded, racking up tens of thousands of upvotes and a flood of comments roasting Karen's theatrics. "This is why I don't work retail," one user wrote. Another added, "She thought she was the main character, but she's the villain." The video, stitched together from multiple customer angles, was a cinematic masterpiece of her rant, the remote toss, and her handcuffed exit, complete with her yelling about lawsuits. It was the kind of cautionary tale that made you laugh, cringe, and thank your lucky stars you weren't in her shoes. The best part, our security system got a shout out in the comments. "Yo, that store's cameras are legit," one user noted. "Might need to shop there." I showed the post to my regional manager, who, after a good laugh, suggested we lean into it. "Jack, you've turned a PR nightmare into free marketing. Keep that system running." I didn't tell him I'd already ordered a replacement TV, covered by insurance, thank goodness. Karen's legal fees, on the other hand, those were going to sting. Vandalism charges don't come cheap, and with the airtight evidence we'd handed the police, she wasn't wiggling out of this one. As the week went on, I kept thinking about what set Karen off. It wasn't just the security feed. It was seeing herself as others did, unfiltered and unflattering. Most folks would laugh it off or move on, but Karen, she'd rather smash a TV than face reality. It was a stark reminder of how entitlement can twist someone's perspective, turning a minor inconvenience into a full-blown crusade. In retail, you see it all the time, customers who think the world revolves around their complaints. But this was next level. I shared the story with my team during a morning huddle, using it as a teaching moment. "Stay calm, stick to policy, and let the cameras do the talking," I said. Sarah, who'd watched the whole thing from the laptop counter, piped up, "And maybe don't argue with someone who thinks a TV is their enemy." The room erupted in laughter, and I knew this tale would be retold for years, a badge of honor for surviving the retail trenches. By Friday, the Reddit post had crossed over to other platforms, popping up on X and even a local news site with a headline, "Ohio Woman's Store Tantrum Goes Viral." Customers started coming in, some jokingly asking, "Is this the TV smashing place?" I played along, pointing to the new TV now displaying our security feed same as before. "Yup, but we're out of remotes for throwing," I'd quip, earning laughs and a few extra sales. Who knew Karen's meltdown would be our best promo yet? As I locked up that night, I took one last look at the home theater section. Now pristine and sparkling, the new TV glowed, cycling through camera angles, a silent guardian of the store. I thought about Karen probably stewing over her court date and smiled. Some people just can't handle seeing themselves as others do, especially on camera. If this story hit home, smash that like button and share it with your friends. Subscribe and hit the bell for more epic retail takedowns. Tell us in the comments, what's your craziest customer story? And remember folks, always smile for the camera. You never know who's watching.